Greetings and welcome to Bubble Hearthing. I'm Bubble and you're fantastic. Today we're going to be asking, I'm going to be asking you one simple question. Is it more likely that I, just happen to change my suit to do a review on the green cards and then change my suit back in to do the multicolored and colorless and land cards? Or is it more likely that I just forgot green was a color at all and just moved on and thought I was finished with my day? Clearly the first one, right? Yeah, no, makes sense. So, we're going to be going over all the green cards in Innistrad Crimson Vow, the newest set from Magic, which has been out for about, not quite a week now. So, things are still kind of shifting in the metagame. We're trying to figure out what's going on. People are experimenting with new things. I haven't actually seen anything, so it's also possible that someone just immediately found the perfect recipe for a deck, and it's just been running rampant ever since. Don't know. This is my opinion based on not having actually seen any gameplay of the set, and then when I'm done with this, then we'll get to the games. And then I'll also play some Inscription and probably, almost certainly, record that and put it on YouTube because it seems very, very interesting. I think it'll be a cool game. But without further ado, let us take a look at the green. We begin with Apprentice Sharpshooter. It's a 3-mana 1/4 human archer with reach and training. Training is a nice little keyword they added. It's basically the other side of Mentor. So whenever this creature attacks with another creature with greater power, you put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. It doesn't matter how many creatures you attack, it just kind of triggers once each time. Once it triggers, you can change the power and toughness of things as much as you want, and it'll still resolve. Just wait for the trigger to actually go off and you declare your attack. So it can grow itself, right? Or at least it needs something else and it can grow alongside something. It's okay. I mean, a 3-mana 1/4 reach. Do you really want to be attacking with the 1/4? It can probably survive, so it's not terrible, and then you end up hitting with like a 2/5. So it's not the worst buy to go with, but not great. Not really too exciting either. So along those lines, where are we here? In limited, it's okay just to have something to kind of not clog up the air because it's not actually in the air, but have some blocks for the numerous spirits that are going to be out there, and potentially even flying zombies if Geralf makes an appearance on your opponent's side of the board. So that's something. It isn't nothing, for sure, but I don't know. This is more like a 1.5 out of 5 for me. And standard is completely useless Ascendant Pack Leader, and we have a rare immediately. So 1 mana, I say I'm going to say it in every video, and then I do. Yeah, that's right. Stick to your word, people. So, if any card at all, costs 1 mana, or even more if it costs 0 mana, pay attention to the card, please. Do not dismiss the card. Don't be like, it doesn't do enough for me. How much does it really need to do for 1? You can usually just throw 1 mana in somewhere, you have it floating around at some point in your curve. It's super easy just to make it work, and the investment doesn't have to be a whole lot. Just do not ever underestimate 1 mana cards, or less, I guess. So, for a single green, you get a 2/1 Wolf, and when it enters the battlefield, it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it if you control a permanent with mana value 4 or greater, which is probably going to happen around turn 4, maybe 3 if you're ramping. I'll give you that. Despair, Sentinel, and Friends, say hi. And Magda, I guess, could happen on turn... Well, no, it's still turn 3. Now, whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, put a +1/+1 counter on Ascendant Pack Leader. So very simple, not actually a really big flashy ability there. And people are kind of getting down on this saying, well, it's a 1-drop that pays off by the time you play something at turn 4 or want to play it after turn 4. Listen. It just has that clause, so it doesn't really matter. So it doesn't feel as bad if you play it on turn 5 or 6. Like, okay, I got a moment, a 1/2, that doesn't do much. No, it actually has some stats to it. It'll grow itself, and it'll continue to grow as you keep playing things that are stronger, or that cost more, I should say. And let's see, it just says spell. Doesn't say for the second part. Doesn't care what kind of spell you cast. It could be Storm the Festival, whatever the thing's called. You could play Alrund's Epiphany. I'm sorry. I didn't want to bring it up, but I did. You can play whatever, as long as it costs 4 or more. The permanent thing, sure, that's fine too. Honestly, not bad at all. Something that can just keep growing as long as you keep curving out. I like it. In standard, it's almost certainly going to see some play. I mean, a 1 mana 2/1 is also pretty damn aggressive, and if your opponent ignores it, it becomes a 3/2, and then a 4/3. That's how numbers work. So, yeah, and there's Wolf Tribal stuff going on too. I'm going to say limited first. It's probably something like a 3.5 out of 5. It's pretty good. It's still not too difficult to remove, and you give your opponent a few turns to work in there. Odds are you're not going to ramp so much in limited, but it's not a bad card to throw in there. If you're already earning green, throw it in, and if you're splashing green, you could probably still throw it in here and there. Again, 1 mana, not a huge investment, but don't be too set on getting this out too early, because if it's a splash, If it's main green, yeah, absolutely, every time. In standard, yeah, I'm also going to give this a 3 out of 5 in standard. I think there might be more aggressive cards. The payoff does come a little bit later, but it can quite easily kind of sneak up on your opponent, and out of nowhere, suddenly you're attacking for 4 and 5, and like, oh geez, I should have dealt with this when I could, and now I can't, and oh. So yeah, legit card, absolutely good card. And now we have a Mythic, an Aver Brook Caretaker. It's a 6-mana 4/4 werewolf with hexproof. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on another target creature you control. And it goes back and forth, of course. The werewolf little day-night cycle. So hexproof is a very powerful ability. You can basically only remove it with some kind of board wipe. There isn't a whole lot of untargeted removal there. There's some deal damage around, and if this does end up in combat somewhere, then sure, combat tricks are a thing. But this isn't exactly something you certainly can attack with it. Like 4 power is no joke, and 6, as we're going to see on the inside, is no joke either. But you could just leave it back and just start buffing your crew. So this on the front side is actually just fine. It's very good. It's not fine. It's fantastic. And then we go to the other side, where now is a 6/6 hexproof. Other permanents you control have hexproof. The only thing that doesn't have hexproof, I guess, is you as the player. But beyond that, all your lands and creatures and your tokens have hexproof suddenly. Yeah, that's kind of insane there. And then at the beginning of a combat on your turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Instead of just on target creature, it's everything gets 2 counters on it, including this thing. So it flips over, combat begins, and this is going to be an 8/8 off of its own ability. This card is actually 100% like 5 out of 5, 6 out of 5, 20 million out of 5 for limited. Yeah, if you open this is easily like a pack 1, pick 1, pack 3, pick it, I don't care. Suddenly you're green. Yeah, there's 2 green pips on the top. Guess what? You're green now. This is what makes that happen. This will run away with the game on its own and protect itself along the way. It is an amazing card. In Standard, I can't imagine this, it's just going to fall to the side. I think this is definitely going to see some play. If it doesn't, I'll be surprised. And for that, even if it's just a curve topper, to play it in your werewolf deck and give all your stuff hexproof so you just get that extra protection and you buff everything by 2, people were running the enchantment that that doubled the power of all your creatures, in combat. So how about instead of running that, you run this thing. If it's already night, then this comes out on the nightbound side, and it just buffs all your people in that turn. Yeah, easy include. Even if it's only going to be a 1 or 2 of in a deck, it's still 5 out of 5, fantastic card. Bramble Armor is a 2-mana equipment. I think it's a reprint as well. Enter the battlefield, attach it to any creature you control, target creature, and it gets +2/+1. And otherwise it costs 4 to equip. Okay, I'm not sure what the point of the Bramble things are. I would imagine there'd be some sort of I'm taking some damage where you're taking more, but no, you just get a +2/+1. It's okay. It's not bad. There's not a whole lot of equipment synergy, and there's no devotion. I'm not really sure what we're doing with the equipment. Just kind of throw it in there, but it's fine. The 4 mana to equip afterwards is pretty rough, but if you can stick this on a flyer or just something with maybe menace, then there's a few menace creatures in the format, or hell, even a lifelinker. It's pretty good. Standard's useless, but in limited, it's okay. 2 out of 5. Yeah, not bad. Bramble Worm. Here we go. So a 7-mana 7/6 Reach and Trample Worm with a U. There you go. Is that European? I guess it would be WYRM if it was European, tire. Anyway, when this enters the battlefield, you gain 5 life, and you can pay 3 and exile it from your graveyard to also gain 5 life. What do you know? So this is not Palaka Worm from back in the day. That card was fantastic. You gain life and you draw a card, and it's also huge and great. But I mean, it's a pretty damn good worm, though, just to help you get some board presence and to stabilize a bit. And at least, even if you mill it or if it dies somehow, you can gain 5 life there and maybe survive another turn or 2. It's still got your back. It's a very large back. This thing's a giant, colossal worm. Yeah, it can probably ravage the countryside. Done it once or twice. I want to imagine it's just going to this house, and instead of being I'm going to squash you, it's just trying to gently knock on the door. It's hey, you left your bins out here, so just want to bring them in. I mean, it is a concern. No HOA stuff. Just as a friendly neighbor, Bramble Worm is there. All right. So in limited, this is absolutely a great curve topper. 3.5, 4 to 5 there. Standard is not good enough for and 7 mana you're putting into it, but it's a cool card. And I'm fully prepared to lose to this when my opponent plays it on 7. I'm damn, I don't have a clean answer to this thing. Hey. That's how we do. Still not a great card, though, in Standard. But limited, yeah, totally. Cartographer's Survey is a 4-mana sorcery. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put up to 2 land cards from among them into the battlefield tapped. Put the rest at the bottom in a random order. So they do not go into the graveyard, otherwise that'd probably be a little overpowered, especially in the limited format where, there's plenty of graveyard synergy. But for 4 mana, you get to put 2 land cards into the battlefield tapped. This is, I guess, you can compare it to Circuitous Route, I believe. I think there's also some weird guild gate thingy that was out before. Or Migration Path is the one that you could cycle. But there you search for 2 lands that might have to be basic lands, and they go, I don't know if they go into the battlefield or your hand. But basically, as I fail comparing things to anything, 4 mana for this sort of effect is reasonable, and it does not have to be basic lands that you pick. You just pick 2 lands from the top, which is very, very nice, not having that Invasive Clause there. You can run this in some weird, going back a ways, but some kind of Valakut thing. I don't know. You could run some kind of castles, any kind of landfall. Would love to see this. Red and 7 says hello. Yeah, super simple card there. And since you're not milling yourself with it, even though it could be a downside, it's also okay when you have a smaller deck size like in Limited. So yeah, in Limited, I'd play like one of these, not 2. Especially if you have like a higher end where you're trying to get the worm to hit the battlefield. Yeah, one of these is fine. In Standard, this probably shouldn't see any play. I can't imagine a world where it would, unless you really, really need to hit that 6 or 7 mana in your green deck, because this is basically what gets you there. Imagine you play this, you have 6 on the board, then you play 7th for the turn or something. So, yeah, in Standard, maybe a 1 out of 5. I don't know. It could see some play here and there, but I don't think it's the best use of 4 mana. And in Limited, it's cool. Yeah, 2.5. Yeah, pretty good include. Cemetery Prowler, the green cemetery cycle creature. So, for 1 and 2 green, you get a 3/4 Vigilant Wolf. Whenever Cemetery Prowler enters the battlefield or attacks, exile a card from a graveyard. Any graveyard, again. That's kind of generic across all, or just, not generic, but common across all of the cemetery things. Spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each card type they share with cards exiled with Cemetery Prowler. So the dream here is you play the Prowler, you exile some creature from your opponent's graveyard, and all your creatures now cost 1 less, and then you attack later on. Vigilance is super nice there, and you want to exile a different card type. It doesn't matter if you keep exiling creatures; it's still just going to cost 1 less because that's it. Doesn't stack like that. And I guess you can exile lands if you want to. Doesn't do anything for your lands. Aren't cheaper. They're already, well, first off, they're not spells, and second off, they don't cost anything. But that's nice. Just imagine everything in your deck costs 1 less now. That sounds pretty damn good. It's like Mana Ramp, but better. Mana Ramp, but with extra steps, but like good steps. Like they actually get you somewhere. Yeah, this card is awesome. 3 mana, 3/4, super easy to cast. Comes down early and almost demands an answer. The value that it gets could be a little deceiving. Like, it's on the board, and it isn't a super huge threat on the board. 3 mana, like, a 3/4 Vigilance is good, okay, exiles things, but the value it gets overturns, okay, this costs 1 less, and this is 1 less, and this is 1 less, and suddenly I can play this card now, like, a turn or 2 early. Yeah, that's what sneaks up on your opponent. So, absolutely 4 out of 5 in Limited, maybe even 4.5, and in Standard, this will probably see something. It's not Legendary, this is cool, I like it, so we're going to give this a, 4 out of 5 there too. Both ways, 4 out of 5. Solid card. Cloaked Cadet is a 5-mana 2/4 human ranger with training. We went over that already, okay. Whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on 1 or more humans you control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. You know what? I don't hate this at all. So, although it costs a lot to do it, so I like the text there, I like the power and toughness and stuff. When we get up to the mana cost there, that's when you lose me. So I think for 4 mana, this would have been okay, but for 5 mana, it's a little too far. Sure, you have something else on the board that can train this, and then you attack, draw a card, which is good, because it includes itself in the thing. But you draw, maybe once each turn? It's okay. It has to survive. It's probably going to survive for a little while, but little incidental gains that might get you somewhere. Also, you do have to attack with this, so it does have to go, if you're trying to, you can keep it back and have other things get the counters, but if you're trying to trigger it, through its own ability, have it work with itself, then you do have to actually, put it in combat, which is another level of, this thing could die. So, another level of danger for the cadet. So, worth noting. In Limited, it's okay. I'd say like a 2 out of 5 there. even though it costs 5, the effect is, pretty good. It can try to replace itself, and there are other +1/+1 counter things you can do, especially in green and white. So there's other ways to make that work. And in standard, 0, Crawling Infestation is the background for this because I thought it looked cool. That's literally it. It just has to look cool and probably have some sort of accent. Originally I was going to pick, I think it was Mulch, but it's really blue and black, and just like the colors are, if I'm recalling correctly, even though it's a green card, there's a lot of blue and black in the artwork, so I was like, well, does it read as green? Probably not. Well, this one, absolutely. So, 3 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may mill 2 cards. Whenever one or more creature cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere during your turn, create a 1/1 green instant creature token only once each turn. So it's nice that it says from anywhere. So of course it can trigger itself with a milling, or if it's discarded from your hand, if it goes from the battlefield to the graveyard. Those are pretty much the only places it can happen. I guess put into your graveyard. If somehow a card goes from exile to your graveyard, that would work too. But I believe those effects are few and far between and don't exist in this standard or limited. So yeah, I think there might be like 3 or 4 cards that do that. I don't know. But when you actually manage to get that to happen, which can be fairly often, you make a 1/1. So in a sense, we can kind of think of this not exactly fairly, but as like a like a weird green mill Bitter Blossom. And Bitter Blossom's a good card in fairies because you make a bunch of 1/1 flyers and eventually they add up, and guess what? Your opponent can't stop all the fairies anymore. Let's see, there was the card in War of the Spark where you made the zombie token, and instead of making multiple, instead of making another zombie token every turn, you just added a +1/+1 counter to it, and it kept growing and growing. So I think it was like Amass was that the keyword that they used? I believe so. So that saw some play, but ultimately ended up falling off. But it was pretty good and limited. It was actually very solid thing, even if you just used it to block. So this is not to be ignored, especially on 3 mana and on uncommon. You're going to run into this. It makes tokens that you can also sack to exploit. So very, very good effect there. Honestly, just a nice card. Good build around thing, or good inclusion in a deck that might have any sort of explorer graveyard value. So 3 out of 5 in limited. I think it's pretty good. In standard though, 3 mana, do nothing. Or maybe make a token this turn. Let's take it easy there. Crushing Canopy, solid reprint. We know what it does. 3 mana. This is your usual green, kills flyers and enchantments. Okay, sure. Sideboard card. That's pretty much it. I don't even think it's his standard play because I think there's like a 2 mana answer to this sort of thing. So yeah. Cultivator Colossus. This guy is doing his best Uro impression, and or Euro. I don't know. It might be Euro. And oof. You tried, but you're just lacking that blue. And as someone that does like to have a good amount of blue, it really, you could have done so much better. 7 mana, star. Oh, how lovely. Plant Beast. It has trample, and this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. When Cultivator Colossus enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you do, draw a card and repeat this process. So hopefully you're playing this with some amount of ramp, otherwise what are you doing? But of course, if you play it with ramp, then it probably doesn't have as high a power toughness as it could, if the ramp is like mana dorks and stuff. If the ramp is actually just putting more lands on the battlefield, then sure. So let's imagine you play this, and you have 7 lands. So it's a 7/7 for 7 with trample. Okay. You get 1 chance to activate the ability, because it's just on ETB, it's not on attack or anything. If you have any other lands in hand, by the time you have 7 mana, then you can put it onto the battlefield, tap, draw a card. Like, almost the ideal scenario is your hand is just full of lands, and you basically drop your hand and just draw that many cards. Okay. And any cards that you get, like, from that are lands, you can, like, repeat the process. You can dump those too until your hand is full of non-land spells. Just spells, I should say. And that's a nice idea. But what about when you just play this and you say, okay, I'm going to draw a card? Or, wait, one minute. It doesn't even just draw a card. You have to have another land to trigger it. Oh, geez. Oh, that's not what I want to see at all. Okay, what about the horrible scenario where you play this, you have 1 land in hand, you play that, draw a card, it's not a land, and you're done. 7 mana, I guess 8/8 trample, draw 1. There's going to be some decks where it works, and it's a charm, and then there's going to be many times when you don't even get to cast this damn thing because it costs 7 mana. Then there's going to be a few times when it comes down and nothing really happens. So, let's see. Of course, you can try to put this in a deck with, like, almost all lands. You can try to hedge towards, like, I'm going to run 30, even, like, some, like, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Yeah, I just named all those numbers. And even then, like, I don't know. I don't know. I think that this missed the mark a little bit. In limited is still fine. Big creature with trample that can draw you card is good. Helps you get through any sort of land blocks that you have in the top of your deck there, if you're like top decking and stuff. And in standard, no. I'm looking for big cards to reanimate to, like, the reanimator deck that I want to make, and I don't think this makes the cut. Even though it's already been going to be green in there, I don't like it. So in limited, though, this is like a, geez, if you can get to 7 mana, this is actually just pretty damn good. Like 3.5 out of 5. I wouldn't say 4, but solid card. And in standard, I'll give it a 2. It's not great. It's okay. It'll see some play because people want to play the big thing that could end up dumping your hand, but let's be real. Dawnheart Disciple is a 2-mana 2/2 human warlock. Whenever another human enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +1/+1 till end of turn. I mean, it's nice that you can just play multiple humans. It's not just a hard once per turn thing, but it's okay. Plain, simple. I guess does the job. Yeah, I guess it's more like a 2 out of 5. I guess 2.5 out of 5, just because it has the potential to get some upside, but it's not all that likely to happen. And if it does, then marginal gains here and there can add up. But in standard, it's not worth a damn thing. In limited, it's okay. It's not great, but. Dig Up. I think this card got a lot of attention, and I can see why, but I don't really think it warrants it. A 1 mana. Yes, I said 1 mana. Sorcery. Search the library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. But if you noticed, there are those brackets in the font. What's in the text? What's that doing there? Well, if you decide to pay the cleave cost instead, which is 1 black, and a green, then you can ignore what's in the brackets. That's what cleave does. You just cut out those words. So instead of searching for a basic land and revealing the card, you search your library for a card, put it into your hand, shuffle your library. That's it. It's just a tutor. Just a good old 4-mana Golgari tutor. And for 4 mana, that's a lot. That's actually not even that crazy. Like, the tutors that we see in other sets that actually see some play, or other formats, usually cost 1 or 2. And there you go. Or they cost a little more, but they do more things than just getting a card to your hand. Maybe they get some other things in the graveyard, maybe there's some other damaging stuff going on, or who knows what, Maybe it gets multiple cards in your hand. But for 4 mana, get a card out of your deck is not overpowered at all. So what you're really banking on here is either the 1 mana spell here, where you get a basic land, and it's in your hand, or just the option, the versatility of maybe you are playing Golgari, or Sultai or something, and you're able to cleave this out and get some value. I don't know that that's really the best use of 4 mana. 4 mana do nothing feels pretty bad. Like, 4 mana set up for your next turn, okay, but you might be dead. Like, let's be honest. In limited, this card's fine. Something wrong. The games are usually a little bit slower, so you might have some more time, and there could be some other, like, this works well with mana fixing. I don't think I would run this if I wasn't already running black and green. I think if I was just green, or, some combination of green things, I don't think I would play this. It might be okay just to try to get your second color out there if you're playing 2, maybe 3, but, I don't know. Standard, it'll see some play. It's like a 2.5 out of 5 in standard, and like a 2 out of 5 in limited. It's alright. It's not great. I want it to be great, but I don't think it's great. Dormant Grove is a 4-mana enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Hey, that's a thing in the set. And then if that creature has toughness 6 or greater, transform Dormant Grove. So remember, toughness is the health. So there's some things that are already going to have it, but you do have to target it with the effect that puts a counter on it. So even if it's already at 6, you still have to pick that creature and add the counter. And then when you do that, you flip things over to a Vigilant 3/6. Other creatures you control have Vigilance. So this is another one of those cards kind of pushing that having a higher toughness than power sort of thing, which seems to be in Golgari, in the black and green. That's really the only places where it is relevant. Certainly there are cards in other colors that do have a higher toughness, but That's just more coincidental, I believe. This is okay. I mean, see, for 4 mana, that first ability is nice. You can just put things there. That is not an option to transform it. So if you only have one creature and it already has power, has toughness like 5 or 6 or whatever, this will transform either way. And you lose the ability to add counters in the future. So be aware of that if you want to start, like, building your board a little wider, or if you just want to get this, flip this over real quick and see where you can go. It's a fine card. Honestly, it's not bad. And it's at the beginning of combat, so you do get the effect the turn you play it, which is nice. It's not at the beginning of your upkeep, which would mean you have to wait a whole other turn, which would be really bad. So, yeah, like a 3 out of 5 in limited, honestly. This can definitely help break some stalled board states, or just, establish a little more power on your side. And in standard, no, much too slow. And Vigilance is a nice ability, but it's not as good as other things like just Trample and First Strike. I mean, we kind of do, I don't know. It's a nice thing to have coincidentally, but it's not usually something you're looking for, I should say. Flourishing Hunter is a 6 mana 6/6, enters the battlefield, you gain life equal to the greatest toughness among other creatures you control. So ideally, you play this and you have the zombie phalanx thing and you gain 13 life and you're, back in the game. Or, you bought yourself an extra 2 or 3 turns with that. But, I don't know, it's fine. It's the Honey Mammoth kind of card. This sort of effect happens all the time. 6 mana 6/6, gain some life. Good thing to stabilize, keep yourself alive or just push past whatever your opponent's got you stuck in. So, with that, yeah, it's like a 3 out of 5, 3.5. You can play this as like maybe 1 or 2 of as a curve topper. I don't think having more than that is really all that beneficial. And standard is not going to see any play though. Glorious Sunrise, another rare. Look, all these rares and stuff coming at me real quick. A 5 mana enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose one. Either creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample to end of turn. Okay, relevant. Target land gains tap, add green until end of turn. Worth noting that will replace the regular tap ability, so it's not like you tap for 4, you actually just tap for 3. And let's see, you can also choose to draw a card if you control a creature with power 3 or greater, or gain 3 life. That's the last ability. So let's see. But the last one kind of sucks. 5 mana, gain 3. Ugh, I mean, if it survives, if you survive, and this thing's on the board for more than a turn, though, like if you get 2 triggers off of it, that is not exactly bad. I think that's where you start to see some value. You can, of course, just go with the first ability and try to overrun your opponent. The ramp is kind of strange. I guess if you play this 5, you can either try to play a 3 drive afterwards, or you don't want to play this like on turn 6, I guess. So you almost never want to pick that second option the turn you play it, but you can if you have extra mana. And draw a card will likely be what you choose most often, because it just gets you more stuff. If you don't want to start swinging out, if you're in like a kind of a strange little stalemate there, odds are drawing a card is going to be a good idea. And a creature with power 3 or greater isn't that hard to come by. There's plenty of those can cost 2 or 3 mana. It's easy enough to get there. Limited, this is good. This is absolutely good. I would put this like a 2.5, 3 out of 5. It's not amazing. It's not fantastic, no, but it's good. In standard, it's not good. It's not at all as fast. Even though you have all these different options, you need speed. In green right now, it's either mono green, stompy, go crazy and stuff, or it's green and it's Gruul Wolves. And they are both, neither one of those would play this card. You would just continue to attack with like chariots and do ranger class nonsense, and then play Arlen, I guess. Did you play Arlen? I don't know, maybe. Tovalar, the Reckless Stormseeker, whatever you're playing, you would do that. You would not do this. And you would keep up Snakeskin Veil for the entire game, because they always have Snakeskin Veil, okay? Just understand that. Hamlet Vanguard is a 3 mana 1/1 human warrior with Ward 2. Haven't seen Ward for a little while. I mean, it's from Strixhaven, but it's kind of cool. All right, coming back. And Hamlet Vanguard enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it for each other non-token human you control. So, if you don't have any other humans, then this is a 3 mana 1/1. That feels bad. That feels really bad. That feels incredibly bad. Sure, 3 mana 1/1 Ward 2. No. No. So you definitely want to run this in humans, and there's a theme for humans. You obviously, werewolves start off as like, a human. So if it is the day side, you'd be okay. If it's the night side where they're actually all transformed, not so good. So it puts you in a strange spot there. let's say that you do manage to play this and there's a human on the board. It becomes a 3 mana 3/3 ward 2. How's that? Pretty good. It's fine. It's not all that crazy. It also fuels itself if you have multiples of this somehow, even though it's a rare. Then yeah, you can play 1, play 2, they keep getting stronger as long as your things survive. Let's see, if you have 2 non-token humans, then it becomes a 3 mana 5/5. Okay, that's really good. With ward 2, that's difficult to deal with. How are you going to do that by turn 3? I don't know. Maybe you'd have a turn to set up. Maybe you already have a creature on the board, have like a human, and then on turn 5, say, you play a 2-drop human and this, and then it becomes a 5/5. 5 mana 5/5 ward 2 plus a little dude. That's some pretty good value too. So yeah, this card is not bad. Of course, only if you have humans. If you don't have, like, at least I'd say 6 or 7 humans in your limited deck, which isn't asking a whole lot, then I wouldn't run this at all. Because 3 mana 1/1 is just not at all playable. Oh, but I can put enchantments on it and equip it and stuff, and it has the ward too. No, just don't do it. And in standard, this could absolutely see play. In some strange, like, you got to be careful with werewolves, like I said, because they flip over and lose their human tag. But it's something. Also, I've said this a few times for other tribes, shapeshifters are always humans as well. So if you have a shapeshifter on the board, if you animate a Faceless Haven and play this thing, it gets a couple counters. Yeah, there could be a standard deck that runs this. I don't know if it would be like a Selesnya, or I don't know what colors it would be exactly. Obviously, you just want to run humans. And there's a decent number of humans in white, so maybe you run this with Thalia. Hey, she's pretty good. And that ward 2 on top of Thalia taxing things. Yeah, I think that's where this goes. I think this goes into some sort of at least a green-white humans deck, if not a third color. And for that, I think it's probably like a 3.5 out of 5 in standard. Yeah. Alright, Hive Heart Shaman. Did I say unlimited? If you have enough humans, then yeah, totally. Like, again, 3.5. If you don't, then don't play it. So, for 4 mana, we have the bees! Not the bees! Oh my god, not the bees! Okay. I had to. I mean, as a Nicolas Cage fan, which I guess, is that a thing? I don't know. I mean, if I could have bought the castle to help him out there, I would. But unfortunately, someone else, I don't know. Yes, he was in such dire financial straits he had to sell his castle. Oh no. Oh, the horror. And meanwhile, here I am as a little peasant, like, I don't want to sell. Anyway, sorry. Whenever Hiveheart Shaman attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card that doesn't share a land type with a land you control. Put that onto the battlefield, then shuffle. You can pay 6 and create a 1/1 green insect creature token, and you put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Activate only as a sorcery. The hell is this thing? This is the strangest ramp I've ever seen. Okay. So 4 mana 3/5. Let's just start off with that. Is that okay? It's alright. It's not bad. Doesn't really do any favors with training, but I guess it can probably attack and usually take the hit. So let's that there. You want a basic land card that doesn't share a land type with a land you control. So if you're running 2 colors and you don't get to, you don't have your second color out there by turn 5 because it has to attack, and then you can do that and ramp a little. If you're running more than 2 colors, maybe this could, well, no, it's actually, So that second ability does pretty well with triomes because they have 3 different land types on them, but that first ability doesn't. Honestly, it's very difficult to figure out what the hell this card wants to do. Like, you want to ramp, but then you stop ramping and you don't, and then you have the last ability, but you don't exactly get it. I definitely don't get it. I'm just going to say in standard it's probably like a 1 out of 5 because it's weird and I don't think it does something we want it to. Maybe there's some older format where this is absolutely the perfect thing that a deck needed to just go off and it's, it's going to shine there. But as far as I know, it has no home right now. Sorry, it's the bees that got me, It's not you, it's your bees. And in limited, it's okay as a 4 mana 3/5 that might ramp one time. And let's see, I mean, you make a token that can be a decent size. Okay, not a horrible mana sink, could actually be relevant. So there, I'd say like a 3 out of 5. Hookhand Mariner. Actually, is Hookhand's Mariner? Oh no, there's both. 4 mana 4/4 werewolf with Daybound. Just straight up 4 mana 4/4. Hook Hand of the Pirate, both hands. And you get the Rip Hook Raider when it turns night, which is a 6/4, and it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So it's almost always going to trade up because 6 power is a huge thing, and it cannot be chump blocked unless the thing has at least 3 power. Yeah, this card is a little scary. I mean, 4 mana 4/4 that just gets better. Totally, I think this card's fine. Standard is useless, and in limited, it's definitely like 2.5, even 3 out of 5 if you have any human or wolf synergy. Or werewolf synergy, then yeah, you're feeling all right. What's this thing? The local gossips swore Nesmith lost his hands in a fight with a werewolf. They weren't entirely wrong. Nice. All right, Howling Moon is a 3-mana enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target wolf or werewolf you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Okay, solid thing there. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. So this, I believe, is something to either punish Izzet decks, largely, for playing like a bunch of little things. And, you play your 2 removal spells. Cool, I'm going to make a wolf, and now you got to remove more things. Or to have a drawback to your opponent making it day. Because if you have anything, of course, wolf, werewolf, with a day-night cycle, usually, not all the time, in particular, Brutal Cathar sometimes wants to flip back and forth. But usually, the night-bound side is better than the day-bound side. So, this will, if your opponent does actually play 2 spells in a turn, to turn it from night back into day, and potentially, weaken your board, it punishes them by giving you another creature. I see that. I like it. I think this is pretty good. Of course, if you don't have any wolves or werewolves, I wouldn't bother running this if you couldn't get some benefit off the first ability. So that is to be considered. Let's see. In Standard, this is going to mess some people up because they're not going to read that second part. They're going to forget about it. And it's like, why do they have another creature? Oh no! Ay, Dios mío. But otherwise, it's okay. I would probably see 1 or 2 of these in a deck. I don't think it'd be many more than that, though. Because your opponent still can control if they give you the wolf token. You want to play 2 spells or not? I mean, maybe if they don't play 2 spells and they die. And then you don't get the wolf token, but you win. Yeah. In limited, cool card. 3 out of 5, 3.5 if you have a whole bunch of wolves. If you don't have an actual metric shit ton of wolves, then just 3 out of 5. If you don't have any wolves, then it's 1, then don't do it. Alright. A Howlpack Piper is a werewolf. A 4-mana 2/2 that cannot be countered. Okay, sure. You can pay 2 and tap this. You may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. You just put it there. 2 mana, tap it, whatever the biggest creature is or the best one for the situation that's in your hand, there you go. If it is a wolf or werewolf, untap Howlpack Piper and activate only as a sorcery. So no sneak attacks there, but still pretty cool effect. And let's take a look at the other side. It becomes the Wildsong Howler, which is a 4/4, and whenever this creature enters the battlefield or transforms into Wildsong Howler, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So, interestingly, the Nightbound side, when it flips over and, does this thing, actually fuels the Daybound side. So it's almost like, I guess you kind of want to get whatever value out of this you can. And then when it flips back over, then you go to town. At the very least, when it comes in on the Nightbound side, you can get a creature from, the near top of your library into your hand and kind of replace itself. You draw a creature, which is very nice. And before we run away with this whole effect, you can put any creature on the battlefield. What's the top end right here? We don't have any Eldrazi to just cheat in and go nuts with. We don't have any, bigger Eldrazi that we can... I don't know, this isn't Tron or anything. I think the biggest thing we have that's relevant, we don't have an auto whatever worm, There's no Grizzlebrand. But there's a few cards that are pretty legit. So for 2 mana, the thing is you play this on 4, you get to 5 mana, and you invest 2 of it. So for 5 mana, on turn 5, how much are you really cheating out here? Maybe 2 mana? Maybe 3 if you have an 8-drop? Sure, getting something down a couple turns ahead is very legitimate. Guess what? Here's Coma before we thought I could deal with it. But, yeah, Coma's largely kind of seen its day and has gone off the radar. it's an okay effect. What I'm trying to say is that I think the effect can look much more overpowered than it actually, much more powerful than it is. I don't think it's overpowered. I think it's fine. I actually like the Nightbound sign of this quite a lot more. So in limited, yeah, definitely a good card. If you can just get it to flip over, which you almost certainly can, then yeah, solid thing. If you can't, then you invested 4 mana to have something die, and that feels really bad. But I think it's worth the risk for the most part. And then you can usually cheat things in here and there. I mean, even if you just get 1 mana discount, you're feeling okay. So let's see. In limited, you like 3.5 out of 5. Yeah, super nice there. Standard, this might be like a 1 or 2 of in some deck. There might be some other deck that actually really wants this. I know I'm saying the same thing, but a deck where this is actually like a combo piece, where you tutor out the creature that you want, and then use this to put it into play. Okay, I still don't think it's the best way. I think Reanimator is better to go. So 1 out of 5 standard, but yeah, that 3.5 in limited. Infestation Expert is a 5 mana 3/4 werewolf, human werewolf. Whenever Infestation Expert enters the battlefield or attacks, make a 1/1 green insect creature token. Alright, and the other side of this, when it transforms, it is the Infested Werewolf. Whenever Infested Werewolf enters the battlefield or attacks, you make 2 tokens. So you go from a 3/4 that makes 1 token to a 4/5 that makes 2 tokens. Cool, and it costs what, 5? Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I don't hate it. I'd put it like around 2.5 out of 5. It can continue to make tokens, which you can use to exploit, or you can just use to go at the board, which is pretty legit. Doesn't buff itself at all, so be aware of that. Once this thing dies, the tokens that are just kind of lingering around, they're cool, fun memories, but you want to get as much value out of this as you can, and you want to protect it. And that's how you're going to win the game. Standard is not doing enough for what it costs, but Unlimited is cool. Yeah, like a 2.5-ish, 3 out of 5. Laid to Rest. Costs, what is it, 4 mana for an enchantment. Whenever a human you control dies, draw a card. Not a hard one to return, just whenever a human dies that you control. Cool, alright. A little board wipe protection there, but it does cost 4. Most things that have some sort of board wipe, insurance, cost 3 if they actually see any play. So that's 1 point against it. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, you gain 2 life. Okay. I mean, that's not terrible. I don't know how often you want your things to die, and if they're dying, then it's almost certainly due to like some kind of board wipe in Standard. That usually is the case, but not always. I like what this card's doing. I like that it's trying to replenish your hand, as well as, making your board, as well as giving you time to actually play the cards that you're drawing, if your opponent is removing your creatures. But I think for 4 mana, it's just a little too expensive for what it does. And I don't exactly know how I would balance that out. Like, it's kind of strange. Maybe you, don't have the whole +1/+1 counter clause on it, just whenever a creature control dies, then maybe. Or you just make it 3 mana. That might be a little too powerful, though. I don't know. It's a strange thing to balance, but I think it just costs too much there. In Limited, this card is not bad. Yeah, of course you want to run creatures, because the card draw is undeniably the best part of the card. But, yeah, super reasonable thing to play. So 2.5 out of 5 in Limited. And 0 out of 5 Standard. Massive Might. Oh, look at that lovely. I guess it's a snail, because there is a shell. Run! It's coming for us! Eventually! 1 mana instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains Trample. So instead of Giant Growth, where it's just +3/+3 and that's it, you sacrifice 1 power and toughness for the ability to trample over a creature and attack your opponent's wallet directly. So this is actually, if you don't think that's powerful, then it actually, it is. I think it's much more powerful than a lot of people think at first. I actually had to take a few looks at it, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, this keeps getting better the more I look at it. Essentially, you play this to win the game. You play this, your opponent thinks they're chump blocking. Sure, okay, here's a little 1/1 insect token, that was left over I'm going to block with. Oh, actually, I'm buffing my creature. You take 5 now. It's not a chump block. You just took a huge hit. And suddenly the next few turns are going to be stressful at best. They're probably not going to be able to recover from that, both financially and, I don't know, health-wise. Physically? Emotionally. Yeah, we'll go with that. Go for the emotional trauma. So, yeah. Very nice combat trick in green. And it might actually see some Standard play. It's possible. I don't really know how much, dirtling around we have in Standard. Not too much. Usually, you kind of remove it. But there are things like, not Shacklegeist, but the Shambling Ghast and the eye twitches that often chump block, and this can kind of turn that chump block into a, something to be wary of. So yeah, legitimate card. I'm going to say 2.5 out of 5 in standard, but in limited, closer to a 3. Definitely closer to a 3. Moldgraph Millipede. 5 mana, 2/2. Ugh, ouch. Whenever Moldgraph Millipede enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards and put a +1/+1 counter on Moldgraph Millipede for each creature card in your graveyard. So hopefully you have a few in the graveyard already. I think the break-even point is probably, 5 mana, 5/5 is where you want to be. So you want to already have 3 creatures in the graveyard when you play this card, which by turn 5 is reasonable. And then you mill 3 cards. One or two of them is likely to be a creature, depending on how many non-creature spells you have in your deck. And then the last card is likely to be a land, just because of numbers. So it's just like the usual ratio there. So with that, it probably gives you 2 already. So as long as you have like 1 or 2, you're feeling okay. If you have 3 and then you trigger this and hit like another 1 or 2 off the ability, you're feeling okay. You're feeling pretty good. This can definitely be a card that's like pops up out of nowhere. You're in top deck wars, you top deck this. Guess what? I have 6 creatures in my graveyard. Now I have 7, and this is a 5 mana 9/9. Deal with this. Yeah. Also +1/+1 synergy there. So quite reasonable card. Quite decent top end. In limited, yeah, I'd say 3.5 out of 5. Good card there. Standard, no. But in limited, okay. Mulch, there's the one where, yeah, it's mostly blue and kind of grayish, and I guess there's some black stuff in there too. But this is a green card. Hey, who knew? So for 2 mana, sorcery speed, reveal the top 4 cards of your library, put all land cards revealed this way into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. So instead of putting them into the battlefield, you get the benefit of it being pretty damn cheap, and you putting other things in the grave. Let's see. Reveal the top 4. There's no options here where you can choose to put them in your hand or graveyard or whatever. It just tells you how it's going to go. So this is actually just the red and 7 +1 ability. Yeah, just mill the top 4 cards or whatever, and any lands go into your hand. Yeah, it's actually the same thing. See some play. I don't think for 2 mana it's worth a damn thing, but it's okay. It's kind of neat to see. And in limited, sure, like a 2 out of 5, maybe 1.5, maybe 2. In standard, no, and no, unless you're doing like a 4 of Skyclave Shade, and hopefully you're not. No, I think it's literally just 4 Skyclave Shades, and that can't block, which is quite often relevant. I speak from experience. Still a fantastic card, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if 4 of is the way you want to go. Nature's Embrace is a 3 mana aura, enchant creature or land. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +2/+2, and as long as it's a land, you can tap for 2 mana of any one color. Very, very strange. I don't know why they decided to split it up that way. And yes, if you enchant your Faceless Haven, then you can tap it. I guess you can animate it, and it becomes like a 4/5. And then afterwards, because it has Vigilance, you can still tap it for 2 mana. That's neat, I guess. But no, not so great there, Steve. 3 mana. It is mana ramp, or it can buff a creature. The creature buff part is pretty bad, especially when you compare it to like the deadweight equivalent for vampires, where you can do that for 1 mana. Ew, God, yeah. Or you can kill your opponent's creature if you target like your vampire and stuff. Yeah. And the 3 mana, have your land produce 1 more mana. Ugh. Neither sides of this are particularly valuable or particularly worth the cost. So you're counting on it being like, you're counting on the versatility making up for the loss of value there, and I don't believe it does. So 1.5 out of 5 in limited. Especially if 1.5 if you're running more than 1 color. If you're running mono green, don't run this card. There we go. We figured that one out. And even though it makes 2 mana of 1 color, maybe it kind of helps out a little bit. I don't know. I still feel like it's not good. Jeez, it's 2 mana of any one color. Forget that. I messed up. I thought I could make 2 mana of either color, even though I just read the card. So 1 out of 5 limited, 0 out of 5 standard. Oakshade Stalker is a 3 mana 3/3 human ranger werewolf. You may cast this spell as though it had flash if you pay 2 more to cast it. That's a nice little way to do it, honestly. I think a 3 mana 3/3 is okay, and a 5 mana 3/3 flash is also okay. You know what? That's a nice balance. I like this side. And the other side is the Moonlit Ambusher, which is a 6/3. And let's see, the important thing to note here is that if it is already, night, if you began the day-night cycle and it is currently night on the board, you can absolutely cast this for 5 mana for flash, and, you do that on the stack, but when it enters the battlefield, it enters on the other side. So you can effectively flash this in during nighttime for 5 mana. 5 mana 6/3 flash, hey, what's good? Doesn't block super well, with the 3 toughness is a little fragile, I'd say, but maybe your opponent, attacked, thought they were doing okay. And guess what? Suddenly there's a 6/3 that's going to punch you in the face now. Oh no, I was not prepared for this, what do I do? That's the situation you're going for. And, yeah, like, otherwise 3 mana 3/3 that can just get +3/+0. Good card. 2.5 out of 5. Maybe even 3.5 in limited if you have any sort of werewolf or human synergy. In standard, no, but I still like how they designed this card. I wouldn't mind seeing more of the sort of templating where if you pay more into it, then it gets another keyword. I think it's nice. A Pack Song Pup. That's kind of adorable. It's like it's just learning how to howl. I don't know, it's kind of cool. I like the card. A 2 mana 1/1 wolf. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control another wolf or werewolf, put a +1/+1 counter on Pack Song Pup. When this creature dies, then you and everyone else in the venue kind of has to collectively just have a moment of silence. You also gain life equal to his power. I mean, let's see. At the beginning of combat, we have to have another thing. There aren't too many 1-drops. It's going to come down later. It's alright. It can, continually buff itself. Doesn't have to do any kind of training thing. Just, hey, look, another wolf. Another part of my pack or whatever. Yeah, I'm cool now. So, And yes, in limited, you will absolutely get overrun with Pack Song Pups, and that you just couldn't remove or didn't think you needed to. So, in that, 3 out of 5, especially if you have other wolves and werewolves in your deck to trigger it. If you don't, if you only have like 1 or 2, I would not run this card. As a 2 mana 1/1, gain a life when it dies. No, absolutely not. In standard, I mean, Nessian Hornbeetle saw Fringe play, so that's where I'm putting this. I don't think it's actually fast enough, aggressive enough to make its way into a deck. Reclusive Taxidermist. Look, another wonderful taxidermy from Chuck Testa. Chuck Testa? What was his last name? It's been so long. Oh, damn. How the memes have fallen. Or I should say how the memes have evolved, because you know what? I'm a fan of these new memes. Nope, Chuck Testa. Or Chuck Testa. Was there 2 T's, or was it only 1 T? I may never know. I can Google it. Not going to. 2 mana 1/2 human druid. And Reclusive Taxidermist gets +3/+2, as long as there are 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard. Also, it's a mana dork. You tap this to add 1 mana of any color. So, if you fulfill the requirement with 4 more creature cards, then it becomes a 4/4. A 2 mana 4/4 is really good. That can also tap for any color? Yeah, that's really good. What if it's just a 2 mana 1/2 that taps? That's still pretty damn good and limited. That's not bad at all. Doesn't have any way to actually fill your graveyard, which a lot of things tend to have in this set, but that's fine. Just being able to mana fix and just ramp you is more than enough. So in limited, yeah, like super easy include 3.5, 4 out of 5. Like, yeah, definitely. In standard, I don't think this replaces any mana dorks right now, but it might. Actually, it might. Just that you can have like something early game ramps you up, and then when it becomes more powerful, you just start attacking with it. Just start swinging for the fences. Hell yeah. 2.5 out of 5 in standard. I think this could see some play for sure. And in limited, yeah, like I said, fantastic card. Retrieve is a 3 mana sorcery. Return up to 1 target creature card and up to 1 target non-creature permanent card from your graveyard to your hand, then exile Retrieve. You know what? For 3 mana, I'm not about this card. Yeah, there's a decent number of enchantments and artifacts here and there, and okay, that could be worth something. And of course, you could target a Planeswalker, because it is a non-creature permanent, but are you targeting a Planeswalker? Did you open a Planeswalker? I hope you did. I'm rooting for you. But otherwise, no. No. I don't know why I have to exile this. Like, this is not a permanent. It can't target itself, but I guess that's just too powerful. Who the hell knows? I guess because the creature you can get can probably return like a sorcery from a graveyard to your hand, so you can go back and forth there, but even so, like a 1.5 out of 5 in limited and a 0 out of 5 in standard. Rural Recruit. The flavor behind this is fantastic if you get it. So, it's a 4 mana 1/1 human peasant with training, which as a 1/1, it better learn something. When it enters the battlefield, You make a 3/1 green boar creature token. Okay. So the flavor behind this, as far as I'm getting it, is the recruit, the human is a 1/1, the boar is bigger, and because it has training, you attack with the boar, and the boar teaches the human how to fight. I mean, what's better than that? This pig is really just all out there for it. Pig is man's best friend now. Just saying. It's okay. It's not bad. At the very least, it's 4 mana for 2 bodies, so you can sack 1 to exploit, or you get a 3/1 and a 2/2 essentially, which not the best combination of things. This is only if you attack at some point as well. You can't just, have that if you're blocking, but it's all right. Human synergy's there as well. Okay, I'm not feeling too bad about it. So yeah, like a 2 out of 5. I'm just gonna give it 2 out of 5. I'm not gonna give it more than that, but yeah, 2 out of 5. In limited standard, nope. But pig enthusiasts are out there. I feel you. Sawblade Slinger is a 4 mana 4/3. When it enters the battlefield, choose up to 1. Either destroy target artifact an opponent controls, or this creature fights target zombie an opponent controls, or you do nothing. Up to 1. It could be 0. Just saying. Let's see. So yeah, fine card in limited. Even if your opponent's not running zombies, you could probably main deck this card. One of them. If you have any more than 1 and you don't have any sort of human stuff going on, then I would put the copies in the sideboard, or just in the rest of your pool, because that's where your sideboard is limited. If you only have 1, I would probably play it. More likely than not. Just it's good to have the ability. Worst case, you probably destroy your opponent's blood token. Cool. Best case, you probably fight a zombie and kill it. Good stuff. Yeah, a 2.5. No, I'd give it a 3 out of 5 in limited. You know what? There's probably going to be some zombies and artifacts. It's probably going to be useful. And in standard, it's not really what you want it to be, but maybe sideboard card? I don't know how often you get zombies. Like, if there's a deck that has zombies and artifacts together, then of course the value goes up, and that's where I get to see it seeing some standard play. I just don't know if the deck exists. We'll see. Sheltering Bows. Yes, that's how you pronounce that. It's not burrows, there's no R. So for 3 mana, you get an enchantment or a trainer creature. On entering the battlefield, you draw a card, and the creature gets +1/+3. So essentially, 3 mana, draw a card, and something gets to be pretty tough. Will activate any of your cards that want you to have, or will probably activate any cards that want you to have higher toughness than power. And replacing itself immediately is nice, so it kind of does away with the whole, 2 for 1ing yourself when your opponent kills the creature and the aura goes with it. But it's just okay. It's really just okay. So in limited, like a 2 out of 5. It's alright, not great. Standard, 0 out of 5. Snarling Wolf, which looks a lot like the, the spiky wolf from Eldraine, where it's like, I'm gonna get you. Where you, sack a treasure token and it fights things. A 1 mana 1/1. Pay 2, and actually, this is a reprint, isn't it? Didn't we already have this in, Innistrad? So it's just still here? Okay. Pay 2, gets +2/+2 within a turn, activate only once each turn. Fine, okay. Pretty legit. Don't really underestimate this card too much. The hard once per turn does narrow it down a little bit, but turn 1 you play it, sure. Turn 2, you can just attack with this, and your opponent might feel like they have to block it, or they might not. You can almost always threaten to buff this card. 2 mana isn't so much to deal with, and you're just going to end up doing a lot of main phase 2 stuff and playing with your opponent's head. I like it. Yeah, I would probably play 1 or 2 of these in a deck and feel pretty nice about it. In standard, though, it sees some play here and there, but it's not much of a threat at all, honestly. It's just kind of a cute thing to include. That's my opinion on it, actually, at least. So, like a 1.5 out of 5 standard, sure, might see some play there. In limited, I'd give it a 2.5, maybe 3. Spiked Ripsaw. This is kind of hilarious. That's just here. I don't know. It just seems like it came out of nowhere, but sure, why not? Let's have a chainsaw. For 3 mana, you get an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+3. Whenever equipped creature attacks, you may sacrifice a forest. If you do, that creature gains trample end of turn. And the equip is 3. So you have to pay 3 to equip it. It does not come in equipped at all. It's pretty good, though. I don't really like the whole sacking a forest thing. But you know what? If you're doing it, then you might sacrifice 1 or 2, and if that wins you the game, then you're good. If not, then I'm sorry, but you may have lost. The equip is not cheap, but at the same time, +3/+3 is a sizable amount. So I think 1 or 2 of these in a deck is good. Just don't go willy-nilly sacking forests to make this thing work. I don't believe you have Life from the Loam. Probably not limited. Not this one, at least. I don't know, someone puts this in a queue with Life from Alone and you can prove me wrong. But, yeah, just +3/+3 is no joke. So for that, 2 out of 5 in limited. Yeah, you could probably play one of these and, you know, threaten your opponent and they could be a little scared. Put this on your little spirit tokens if you got them, or just put it on whatever the hell you got. I don't know. It's okay. In standard, if it did more than just give something trample, it'd see some play. But with just the trample there, no. 1 out of 5 maybe in standard, but I really don't think it's gonna see any play there. Splendid Reclamation. Hello, Ren. How do you do? 4 mana, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Okay, I mean, I guess, hey, you can recover those forests that you threw away, but really? You're counting on getting, like, this isn't really that much of a rare, honestly. It's like a 1 out of 5 in limited. It's really not great. And in standard, probably a 0. Oh, but landfall and stuff, and I can mill things, I can discard them to other things and then get them back. I guess you can ramp with this. Potentially, you have a few lands in the graveyard, you play this on 4, and you go up to like 7-8 mana. Cool. Or you can just, naturally curve out to 5 mana and play Ren and 7, and plus and get like, 2 or 3 lands in your hand. Or minus and just get the big old like token, Not feeling it. Not feeling this card. Yeah, not at all. Sporeback Wolf. You know what? For as disgusting as that sounds, not bad artwork, Like, I came around it. 2 mana, 2/2 Wolf. As long as it's your turn, it gets +0/+2. So on your turn, it's a 2/4, and on your opponent's turn, it's just a 2/2. So it still works with the whole higher toughness than power on your turn. Just a nice little include. Otherwise, still, it's a bear that sometimes is not a bear. So for that, 2 out of 5. The times when it's not a bear does not make it so far beyond being a bear that it's worth much. Here we go. And 0 out of 5 in standard. Spore Crawler. Not exactly sure what I'm looking at other than just fungus in general. Yeah, but I think there's some level of grossness going on. I just can't figure out where it is. 3 mana, 3/2. When it dies, draw a card. Super simple, nice, to the point. Does what it wanted to do. Honestly, 2.5 out of 5 and limited. Standard, not worth a damn thing. But, like, it's a perfectly good effect. There's nothing wrong with this. The value is there. Toxic Scorpion is a 2 mana 1/1 Death Touch, as Scorpions often have. And when it enters the battlefield, another target creature control gains Death Touch on a turn. That's neat. It's usually more of a defensive thing, but you can certainly put that on a larger creature. Or if you're having some like tough blocks to make, then sure, you can do that. You can also put it on some of the... There's a couple other cards that actually have the ability to deal damage. There's like a shaman or something that breathes fire that whenever you play a non-creature spell, I think you deal 1 damage to target creature or something, or target thing. So potential synergy there just for the turn. But otherwise, it's okay. Still a 2 mana 1/1 Death Touch. Can gum up the works quite a bit. Can make your opponent think twice. So yeah. Okay card. 2 out of 5. It's alright. Not bad. Maybe even 2.5. I'd probably run one of them. And in standard, no. Ulvenwald Oddity is a 4 mana 4/4 rare with trample and haste. And you can pay 7 to transform it. So, 4 mana 4/4 trample haste. That is not Questing Beast. Is still a hell of a card. And is fantastic coming down on curve and is threatening. And you can go ahead and put whatever buffs you want onto it and feel pretty damn good about it. Yeah, this card is scary. And when you put 7 mana into it, even at instant speed if you want to, it becomes a little scarier, a little creepier. What the hell is this? Reminds me of Slither a little bit, but just saying. If you haven't seen it, you don't have to see it, but if you did, then you understand. It becomes an 8/8 trample haste. Another creature you control, get +1/+1, have trample and haste. In limited, yeah, this is like a 4.5 out of 5. If you're getting to 7 mana, then this actually can just go nuts. Even though it's stronger with other creatures on the board, an 8/8 trample haste is already huge. Yeah, fantastic card. Amazing. And you know what? I wouldn't be too surprised if this saw some standard play as well, just because a 4 mana 4/4 trample haste is playable. If it didn't have the haste, absolutely not, but the haste is what makes the card. So yeah, definitely. Standard like 3.5 out of 5, limited 4.5 out of 5. Just absolute house, absolute monster. Weaver of Blossoms is a 3 mana 2/3. And you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. Okay, like 3 mana dork is expensive. But it can transform into a blossom-clad werewolf. I like the idea that, you know, just maybe it's just running through the forest and those flowers happen to end up there, or maybe that's just your story and you're sticking to it. So, it turns into a 3/4, and you can tap to add 2 mana of any one color. Cool. Alright. I could run 1 or 2. It's not too bad. 2 out of 5. And yeah, I'm not going to double back and say, well, actually 2.5. No, just 2 out of 5. 3 mana 2/3 probably flips over to be a 3 mana 3/4. Yeah, mana dork, mana rough, like mana fixing here and there. Okay, but just 2 out of 5 there. And standard, nope. Witch's Web. Did I tell you I like spiders? You know I love spiders. I love spiders. I'm not gonna pull the spider over here because there's like a letter on top, and knowing my luck, I just pull it out there, and oh, there's my address just floating across the screen. And I don't want to edit this video, so. It is a 2-mana instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 and gains reach until end of turn and untap it. So unfortunately, it gaining reach means that, like, you can play this as a defensive spell. It's kind of aiming you to do that. Like, okay, untap my creature because you already attacked with it. Like, surprise! I actually have this thing. It could block your flying thing. That's neat. It's nice. Be aware of this in Limited, that this card exists. So don't like attack with your like solo flyer or whatever into a board where this could just ruin your day and make you lose if your opponent has 2 mana up. But if they don't, I mean, also this is common, so it's an okay card. I give this a 2 out of 5 again in Limited. It's all right. It just kind of plays some mind games with yourself. Like, do I want to play this defensively, or do I want to just give my like creature a +3/+3? Luckily, you have the option to do either one. Like, anyway, and hit for more damage. All right, Wolfkin Outcast is a 6 mana card that is slightly blurry, as Bigfoots often are. So, 6 mana 5/4. This spell costs 2 less to cast if you control a wolf or werewolf. So, if you have one, then it is a 4 mana 5/4, which is good. And it can become a 6/5. And whenever this or another become a Wedding Crasher, whenever this or another wolf or werewolf you control dies, draw a card. Like, actually, legit, not bad. You definitely want to have the synergy there, otherwise you lose like on 2 different accounts. But even if you play a 6 mana 6/5 when it dies, draw a card, okay, I don't hate it. Put some pressure on there, replaces itself. Reasonable card. Not great. With other wolves and werewolves, of course, this card, if you play it cheap and then you could draw a few more cards off of it, amazing card. So 3.5 out of 5 in the right deck. And in Limited. In Standard, no. Wolf Strike. Hey, just straight up Wolf Strike. It sounds like, I don't know, something you see in a fighting game. Wolf Strike. Ugh. For 3 mana, instant speed, target creature control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. If it's night, not if it's day, then it deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. So let's see here. So regardless of what time of day you play this card, it's a fight spell. But if you play it at night, then your creature gets buffed because it's a werewolf and it's getting like, you know, extra wolf, like the feral advantage. I don't think it outclasses Blizzard Brawl by any chance, so like at all. So in Standard, it just doesn't have a place right now. There's already a better version, and in Limited, it's okay. I can run one of them, but 3 mana is a lot to ask for. Of course, you can play this before combat. Your creature gets buffed, then attack for a little more. That's the ideal way to do it. And that was a little pop of the knuckle. So yeah, Limited, I'd say 2 out of 5, maybe 2.5 if you have any way to trigger the day-night cycle. If not, then just 2 because 3 mana is a lot for a fight effect. And that's it. Okay, we got there, everybody. Woo! Yep, definitely didn't just do this as the last video. Definitely still have to go over the other cards in the set. Yeah, I didn't see them at all. Nope. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, for sticking through this with me. I apologize for every video being over an hour long. When the next set comes out, I'm going to hopefully be in more of a groove, and I'll be able to really machine gun, like, rapid-fire these things, and maybe get something done in around 40 minutes or so, but until then, maybe these things are just nice to have little stories here and there. Who knows? Thank you again. I certainly hope to have some actual gameplay videos coming out soon. And without further ado, good night, or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. But as always, good luck. I just realized there are no green cards that reference blood tokens at all. It's not a green thing. Didn't need that picture, but hey, there it is. Alright. Have a good one.